Okay, everybody, good evening. It's Wednesday night, so we're going to learn the laws of Tisha B'Av like we said last week, and hopefully we'll have time for Tanya. So I'm going to begin with Erev Tisha B'Av because there's laws that we need to know about the day before Tisha B'Av. And again, this year I'm using this year's date. So this year Tisha B'Av is Tuesday. So Monday, starting at 1 o'clock, a lot of the laws of Tisha B'Av apply, which means that number one, no tachnun is said, and Mincha Tisha B'Av, even though it's a fast day over the destruction of the Bais Din, but nevertheless it's a Yom Tov because when Mashiach comes, it's going to be a Yom Tov. So there's no tachnun said at Mincha and Erev Tisha B'Av. After midday, you're supposed to only learn those things that you're allowed to learn on Tisha B'Av. So like if you learn Rambam or Chitas and all that, really you should be learning them before 1 o'clock on Monday afternoon. Okay, now there's something called Seudah Hamafseket, which means like this. The custom is, again, meat you're not allowed to eat because it's still the 9 days. So the custom is you have before Mincha, you eat a fairly good sized meal. Some people say you shouldn't overdo it. Can you say Tillim? It's best to say Tillim in the morning before 1 o'clock for the day of Tillim. Okay? So you have a meal before Mincha. And then, depending if you have an early Mincha now. So you have a regular meal. Again, there's no meat. But then you daven Mincha. After Mincha, before the fast begins, you have what's called Seudah Hamafseket. Seudah Hamafseket means the meal that separates the eating to the not eating of the fast. So, so the situation is as follows. Number one, the custom for Seudah Hamafseket is to have, some people have a bagel or bread. You're supposed to wash for Seudah Hamafseket. And the custom is to eat bread or bagel with a cold, hard-boiled egg. And you're not allowed to have two cooked foods. So you can have tea or coffee afterwards. But you can only have bread, and this is the custom, and a hard-boiled egg. And the custom is you dip the bread, many people dip also the hard-boiled egg into ashes. And you sit on a low stool, you wash your bread, eat the bread and the hard-boiled egg on a low stool like you would on Tisha B'Av. If you have more than a few people together in the house, you don't eat together, that you would have to make a mezuman, the benching with 3 people together. So then you have, you eat in separate places, but you eat on a low stool and you eat the egg. Now, after you finish eating the Seudah Hamafseket, if you're still planning to drink or eat something, you have to have that in mind, that you're still planning to eat or drink. Otherwise, really, the fast begins after Seudah Hamafseket. Okay, that's as far as the practical dinim. And generally speaking, Erev Tisha B'Av says you don't go walking, you don't take leisurely things. It's, so to speak, the beginning of the preparation for Tisha B'Av. Now, Tisha B'Av itself is the saddest day in the Jewish calendar. And our sages tell us 5 terrible things happened on Tisha B'Av. The initial first thing that happened on Tisha B'Av in the Chumash was the spies came back from Eretz Yisrael with a negative report. The Gemara says that night was Tisha B'Av. And the Jews started crying, oh, they're going to kill us, we can't go into the land. And the Gemara says, Hashem said to them, now you're crying for nothing. I'm going to give you what to cry about. So it was decreed upon the Jewish people on the night of Tisha B'Av in the desert in the first year, that in the second year, that the Jews are going to stay in the desert 40 years. Second thing that happened, second and third thing, the first Bais Hamikdash was destroyed on Tisha B'Av. Second Bais Hamikdash was destroyed on Tisha B'Av. The city of Beitar, which was a large city, was conquered. Tens of thousands of Jews were killed. It was on Tisha B'Av. The wicked Turnus Rufus plowed the side of the Bais Hamikdash and its surroundings. So these are 5 terrible things. Most of them deal with the actual destruction of the Bais Hamikdash. But these are terrible things that happened, and therefore Tisha B'Av became the saddest day of the year. Now, what are the dinim of Tisha B'Av? Okay, let's discuss some dinim in order of whatever. It's a 24-hour fast. It's a very strict fast. It's not as strict as Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur, you're only allowed to break your fast if you're deathly ill. Tisha B'Av, it's rabbinic, but it's still a 24-hour fast. So the fast, Tisha B'Av, I don't even have the times. Okay. The fast begins at sundown. I think it's 7:43. Monday afternoon, the fast begins 7:43, which means by 7:43, you have to be finished eating, brushing your teeth, rinsing your mouth, whatever you want to do. Once 7:43 comes, the fast begins. Okay? So you have to, no more eating or drinking. The fast applies to men, women, and older children, meaning 12, 11, those ages of children. No eating and no drinking. Pregnant women, nursing women have to fast. Nowadays, in case of pregnancy and nursing, they should call it off. They are more lenient today than they used to be because times changed. But halachically, pregnant and nursing women and everybody over bar and bas mitzvah must fast. If they're sick, they should call a shaila, and they will be told that if generally you're able not to fast. But that's only if you ask a shaila and you get an answer. Now, Tisha B'Av, similar to Yom Kippur, there's 5 things which are forbidden. Eating, drinking. You're not allowed to do any, well, I'm going to the details soon. You're not allowed to wash. Marital relations are forbidden. Wearing leather shoes is forbidden. In these respects, it's exactly like Yom Kippur. And learning Torah is not allowed. Okay? So, just like Yom Kippur, though, you're allowed to learn Torah. Tisha B'Av is additional because it's a concept of Avelut. It's mourning. When, God forbid, somebody is sitting Shiva, they're not allowed to learn Torah either. They can only learn laws of mourning, laws we'll discuss what a person is allowed to learn. So the fast begins in LA time at 7:43. Wherever you are, it begins at sundown. No eating and drinking. Tisha B'Av, you're not allowed to sit on a regular chair. From nightfall, many people are lenient, from nightfall, which is a half an hour after sundown, or half an hour, 35 minutes after sundown. So in other words, it would be like 8:15 or so. You cannot sit on a regular chair. People that are, women that are pregnant or people that are older that have a problem sitting on a low stool, they're allowed to sit on a regular chair. Okay, they are allowed to sit on a regular chair. But again, people that are healthy are not allowed to sit on a regular chair. And that starts from the height of the chair technically should not be more than 12 inches. Some people are a little bit makel, but 12 inches, generally speaking, is the height that the chair should not be taller than 12 inches. Now, so you come to Ma'ariv, you're not allowed to wear leather shoes. Now, I'm going in this order because what comes first. Starting from 7:43, which is sundown in LA, you're not allowed to wear leather shoes. Definition of leather shoes means any part of the shoe which is leather, you're not allowed to wear it. Even if there's a thin strip of leather on the shoe, you're not allowed to wear that shoe on Tisha B'Av. You could wear everything else of leather, not leather socks, because leather socks are really shoes. So you could wear leather belt, leather jackets, whatever, but you can't wear those types of shoes, regular shoes. As far as part of the eating and drinking is, you're not allowed to rinse your mouth. Some people say if you really have a very difficult time, in the morning, you could take a little bit of mouthwash. Not everybody agrees with this, though. You take a little bit of mouthwash, bend over the sink, and make sure that you're not going to, God forbid, swallow anything. And then some people say you could do that. If a woman, by the way, gave birth within 30 days of Tisha B'Av, she can ask a shayla. Sometimes she wouldn't have to watch. It's a fast. Okay, next thing is, so you come to shul. In the shul, they take off the pareiches and the Kodesh. Many places, they take off the covering of the shulchan and the chazan's covering. You daven ma'ariv. After ma'ariv, the custom is you read eicha. Right? A chazan, but you don't read it from a Megillah. There's no bracha on it. I mean, the way the halacha is, you read the book of eicha while everybody is sitting on a low stool. And there's a little bit of kinnis, which is said after eicha at night. So if you have saliva in your mouth, you can swallow it. That's not an issue. Okay, so then you come to shul, you daven ma'ariv, you read the book of eicha, and then you go home. I mean, basically. Now again, you can't sit on a regular chair. Going in a car, halachically, is allowed, even though many great tzaddikim didn't go in a car until midday because it's a regular chair. But poskim right, according to halacha, you're allowed to go in a car or bus on Tisha B'Av. Now, one of the things which is forbidden on Tisha B'Av is washing. You can't wash any part of your body, unless what we're going to mention now. You can, when you get up in the morning, you cannot wash your face. You cannot wash your hands. When you get up in the morning, you have to wash negel wasser. So you wash negel wasser, not the whole hand, like you do every day. You only wash until the end of the fingers. So you go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There's 6 times alternating, but you only wash until the end of the fingers. Then when your fingers are still damp, then you could, wash your eyes off a little bit. If your eyes are encrusted, I mean, there's, as they say in English, gook in the eye, so then you're allowed to wash, again, just wash your face. You can wash the dirt spots, which in that case would also mean the part of the eyes which is encrusted with, what's left residue from the sleep or whatever. When somebody goes to the bathroom on Tisha B'Av, you only wash until the end of the fingers. You do not wash. You're washing before davening, you only wash until the end of the fingers. If somebody is going to be eating bread, like kids or people that are not well, and they're going to be eating bread and you have to wash, so then you wash the whole hand. For bread, then you have to wash the whole hand. Negel wasser, or anytime you go to the bathroom or for davening or whatever, you're only allowed to wash until the end of the fingers. If you have a dirt spot, so you got dirty, you're allowed to wash the dirt spot. You can't wash more than that, just the area of the dirt spot. Somebody that for medical purposes needs to soak a finger or whatever it is, they need to wash for medical purposes, then they're allowed to do that. What's necessary for the medical purposes to wash for that part of the thing. Now you can't put on, one of the things also you can't anoint, smearing yourself with oils. So bottom line is, for instance, you're not allowed to apply body oil, ointment, perfume. If somebody wants to put on deodorant that it shouldn't be a foul smell, that is permissible. But you cannot put something on your skin that will create a good smell. So you can't cologne, you can't put on deodorant that's, perfume or something like that. If the person has a skin condition and you have to put on creams or whatever, that's allowed. If it's medical, you're allowed to. If it's pleasurable, then you're not allowed to. It says in halacha, you're not allowed to even dip your little finger into cold water on Tisha B'Av, because today you're not allowed to wash. Now, marital relations are forbidden on Tisha B'Av. So therefore it says all the, when a woman is a nida, all the passing and touching and handing, at night, everybody says you're not allowed to. During the day, many poskim, and that's what it applies from the Alter Rebbe, that the dinim of a harchokis, what you don't do when the wife is a nida, that applies even during the day of Tisha B'Av, but more so at the night of Tisha B'Av applies even more. So all these things are forbidden, to go. Now, if somebody needs to wear leather shoes for medical purposes, then again, they're allowed. Bottom line is, of a lot of these dinim, anything pleasurable is forbidden, anything medical is permitted. Now, what about learning Torah? Learning Torah, the Gemara said, the Pasuk says in Tillim, Bikuri Hashem Yesharim Misam Chalev. The mitzvahs make a person happy. Torah makes a person happy. So therefore, you're only allowed to learn depressing things in Torah. For instance, you can learn the book of Eov, because that deals about Eov's miserable life. The portions that deal with the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. Eicha, you have the Gemara in Gittin, the famous Gemara about Kamsa Bar Kamsa, about the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. The story of the destruction, Sanhedrin, the book of Josephus. There's certain things, halacha, Tisha B'Av, you're allowed to learn. You're allowed to learn the laws of mourning. There's plenty stuff to learn. Okay? Plenty of things to learn that you can, don't worry, you don't have to get bored. There's plenty that you could learn on the day of Tisha B'Av. It's interesting. A Rav is only allowed to make on Tisha B'Av a halachic ruling relevant to Tisha B'Av. If it's not relevant to Tisha B'Av, he's not allowed to make the halachic ruling. If it's sometimes crucial, whatever. The saying Tillim the day of Tisha B'Av is only after midday. We'll get to that. Okay, now there's a whole bunch of other things on Tisha B'Av before we get into the davening. You're not allowed to say Shalom Aleichem to somebody on Tisha B'Av. You're not even supposed to greet somebody on Tisha B'Av. You can't even say good morning on Tisha B'Av, or it's prohibited. Now, if somebody, let's say, comes over to you and doesn't know the halacha, and they say, oh, good morning, and being rude is rude, so you're allowed to nod your head, but it should be in a way that you're just responding to them that they shouldn't get upset. And you should tell the person, it says in halacha that, greeting somebody is really not supposed to be done on Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av, you're not supposed to go for walking, for trips. I said no Tillim on Tisha B'Av until after midday. You don't indulge in that. Basically, what you're really supposed to do is the morning of Tisha B'Av, ideally, you're supposed to say davening and kinnis until 1 o'clock. That's ideally what somebody's supposed to do on the day of Tisha B'Av. Work should be avoided on Tisha B'Av, because then you're taking your mind off from the morning, the Avelus. Even household chores, another interesting halacha, like making the beds, doing things, is only allowed after 1 o'clock. You can't, you're the customer, you don't make beds in the morning. You don't tidy the house in the morning, because up to midday is something that, you're supposed to concentrate on the, you don't make business transactions. If somebody's going to lose money, if they don't, do the business transaction, then you're allowed to do it. But whoever mourns in Tisha B'Av is proper. Okay, so now let's discuss a little bit the davening of Tisha B'Av and the order of Tisha B'Av. We mentioned before, you take off the the covering of the Aron Kodesh. By Eicha, you dim the lights. You dim the lights in the show. You make it a little bit, unfestive. That's the purpose of it all. Now, at night, after by Ma'ariv, I'm just they say Kaddish Tiskabel, and then you sit down and do Eicha, and then afterwards you have the Kaddish and whatever. Then you read Eicha. After Eicha, there's a little bit of kinnis that you say and so on. Some people have a minig on Tisha B'Av. It's not our minig. Some people have a minig that they don't sleep with a pillow. They try to make their sleep as uncomfortable as possible. In fact, certain places would put a rock under the head or they would sleep on the floor, just as a sign of mourning. I would strongly suggest against it, because what's going to happen is you're going to be cranky a whole day, and everybody in your house is going to suffer from it. So that is no obligation to make everybody suffer if you're cranky. So our custom is we don't do, depriving things from sleep. Okay, washing we said only. Okay, now Tisha B'Av morning, generally speaking, especially in the Ashkenazi communities, and this is what we do not wear Tallis and tefillin in the morning of Tisha B'Av. Okay. It's a regular davening, no tachnun. It's a regular shachris davening. What you do is no tachnun. There's no brach on the tzitzis. If you're wearing the tzitzis under your shirt, you don't make a brach on the tzitzis. The custom is you do not hold your tzitzis by Baruch Sha'amar and by Shema. You say Baruch Sha'amar and Shema without holding your tzitzis, like you normally do during the regular year. By Chazar Sashatz, the Chazan does not say Berchas Koyanim and all those types of various different things. But that already I'm not going to elaborate on, because that has to do with the shul. Okay, now okay, so after Kinnis, you say Ata Kaddish, you skip a line over. They're going to tell you in shul what to do. You say Aleinu Kaddish. It's interesting, those that are mourners and always say a Mishnayis Kaddish after davening, Tisha B'Av Monday night and Tuesday day until afternoon, you don't say the regular Mishnayis, you say the last Mishnah of Meid Katan that deals with the laws of mourning, and then they say Kaddish on that. Okay, now, so Shachris, the Chazan by Shachris, another very important thing. When you say brachas in the morning, on Tisha B'Av morning, there's a bracha we say every day, Sha'asa li kol tzarki, that Hashem does all the needs for me. The Gemara says that bracha refers to wearing shoes. Because Tisha B'Av, we're not allowed to wear leather shoes, we omit the bracha Sha'asa, we do it twice a year. Yom Kippur, we omit it, and Tisha B'Av, we omit the bracha. Some people have a custom that when they put on their shoes after Tisha B'Av is over, they say the bracha then. Our custom is we do not say the bracha Sha'asa li kol tzarki until the next morning when we're able to wear regular shoes. Okay, after Chazar Sashatz, there's half Kaddish, there's Torah reading. Yeah, there's a Haftarah in the morning. It's interesting. It's the only day besides Yom Kippur that there's two Haftarahs, morning Shachris and by Mincha. The only day. Yom Kippur, Shabbos never has a double Haftarah unless it's Yom Kippur. Tisha B'Av in the morning after Torah reading, there's a Haftarah. There's three aliyahs, but there's a Haftarah, and the Mincha is the regular fast day regular Haftarah of the fast day. Okay, so then after you're supposed to say kinnis until 1 o'clock, that's what you're supposed to do. Until before 1 o'clock, then you finish up parts of Shachris. And then, in other words, basically what you say is Asher Yuvalatzion, and that's it. And after Asher Yuvalatzion in the morning, you you say Kasham without this Kabul, and then you don't say, then there's a Mishnayos Kaddish that they say in the morning also. Okay. Then, so there's no Tallis and Tefillin. Again, you don't do household stuff. You have to sit on a low chair until 1 o'clock. After 1 o'clock, okay, well, I'm going to answer that question. Now, in the afternoon, late afternoon, some people do it early in the afternoon, we put on Tallis and Tefillin, because you can't go a day without Tallis and Tefillin. So you wear it, you put on Tallis and Tefillin, you make a bracha on the tzitzis, you make a bracha on the Tefillin, and then what you do right away is you say the 3 portions of the Shema, the whole Shema. Then the minyan finishes what you didn't say for Shachris. So we say at Mincha, we say the Yom, it's going to be Shlishi B'Shabbat. We say Ein Kalokenu, we say Tilim, the daily Tilim that we say. Then we get ready for Mincha, saying Korbanis. Mincha is again, now we say Nachem, it's in the Siddur, Mincha Tisha B'Av. It's a whole long paragraph which we speak about the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. That is said by everybody at Mincha on Tisha B'Av. And if you're fasting, you also say Anenu. You say Anenu, and the Chazan says Nachem, the Chazan says Anenu. And he does say Birchas Kohanim at that time. And after Mincha, we'd have Mincha in Rashi's tefillin. After Mincha, we put on Rabbeinu Tam's tefillin. You have to make sure that you're not davening so late that, because you have to put on Rabbeinu Tam's tefillin before sundown. So you have to make sure in the show where you're davening that they're going to finish Mincha before, that you have enough time to put on Rabbeinu Tam's tefillin, and you do what you do every day, Shema, the 3 portions, and Kaddish Teiko B'chor, the 6 remembrances, and so on. Okay, that's as far as the day of Tisha B'Av. I mean, there's millions of details in this, but these are the general rules. Now, Matzai Tisha B'Av, let me just explain something to understand the halacha. When the Goyim lit the Beis Hamikdash and they burnt down the Beis Hamikdash on Tisha B'Av, the fire was lit, the Gemara says, Tisha B'Av afternoon. Not the morning, the night before. The Beis Hamikdash's fire was lit on the 9th afternoon, and it burned through the 10th. That's what the Gemara says. In fact, Rabbi Yochanan, the famous Rabbi Yochanan of the Gemara, says that if it would be up to me, I would make the fast on the 10th. Why? Because the main Beis Hamikdash burned on the 10th, not on the 9th. But the Gemara says no, because it began burning on the 9th, and that's what's the difficult thing, that it started burning on the 9th. Now, Tuesday night, which is the day after Tisha B'Av, through Wednesday, 1 o'clock, all the laws of the 9 days apply. All the laws of the 9 days apply, which means no meat, no laundry, no music. Showering only, if you feel dirty, you take a quick shower. But all the laws of the 9 days apply until 1 o'clock Wednesday afternoon. Why? Because again, the Beis Hamikdash burnt on the 10th. So the Gemara says, and the Chacham instituted, that until midday of the 10th, all the laws, no laundry, no nothing. Now, there are certain exceptions to the rule, which means if somebody, let's say, and this you have to ask a shaila, I'm just mentioning there's sometimes leniencies with this, and that is that let's say a person's leaving on a trip 11 o'clock in the morning, Wednesday, and they need, so sometimes you have to ask a shaila, sometimes there's leniencies to do laundry early in the morning. Generally speaking, the answer is you cannot do laundry, music, meat, bathing, swimming, all that until 1 o'clock. But again, if there's exceptions to the rule, somebody needs leniencies or whatever. If they have any other questions, you have to call your local Orthodox rabbi. Let's see something. Okay, I mentioned already for this Friday, we learned in the Dinim when we learned the 9 days, but somebody's asking it here. You're allowed to cut nails for Shabbos. Women are allowed to shave and remove facial hairs. And yes, that is allowed for Shabbos. You can do it. Okay, that's it. Now we're going to go to Hashem should help, Taka. We shouldn't have to fast. Sheikh will come. In fact, there's a very interesting question in halacha, by the way. The first Bais Din was destroyed on Tisha B'Av. And then they built the second Bais Din. So there's an argument between the Rambam and the Meiri, both Rishonim, if they fasted Tisha B'Av during the second Bais Din. Now they had the second Bais Din. So did they fast on Tisha B'Av? So there's an argument. The Rambam and Meiri, one says they did fast, one says they didn't fast. But one thing is for sure, Mashiach comes, we ain't fasting on Tisha B'Av. So if somebody really doesn't want to fast, they should really daven hard for Mashiach, because then we won't have to fast on Tisha B'Av.
Mashiach was born on Tisha B'Av.
The concept of Mashiach, again, there's a story in the Medrash that the Medrash tells a story that there was a Jew next to an Arab merchant, and the Talmud and the Arab merchant said, your temple is just destroyed. And then the Talmud a second time, and he said to the Jew, your Mashiach was just born. It doesn't mean the physical human being of Mashiach was born. It means the concept of redemption began immediately following the destruction of the Bais Din. As we spoke, Hashem doesn't destroy, it's only for the sake of rebuilding. Okay, let's go to Tanya.